Welcome back everybody. My first official video of 2018. I did one already on tribute to the reggae artist Michael Prophet, but I filmed that one a little earlier. I think this is the start of my third year in the vinyl community. My name is Doug, for those of you just tuning in for the first time. I show records and talk about music. Hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Mine was good. We had a busy Christmas. We had family over visiting from the East Coast for the holiday. Kids were excited to see their cousins from over there that are kind of the closest to their age. So that took several days before and after the holiday. We actually had a white Christmas for the second year in a row. It's quite unusual for here. Last year we had a huge amount of snow that lasted for weeks and weeks. Just had a little sprinkling this year, and it actually turned to heavy rain right after Christmas, which then froze and turned into a pretty bad ice storm in my area. We were kind of on the outskirts of where it was really bad, but it was still bad enough that our power was out for over 48 hours. There was about 130,000 people without power at the peak, from what I understand. And so we had to actually move next door to our in-laws, where they have a generator, because we had no heat, no running water in our house for 2 days. So with two little kids and two dogs, we all had to pack up and move just next door there, a little bit up the road. But power came back on just in time for New Year's Eve, so that was good. We're happy to be back, so it was a bit of an adventure. And since then, it's just kind of turned to dreary rain, which is more our typical weather. But I'm going to get right into some music. I'm still catching up on records that I picked up in December. Haven't really done any digging since then, not really even a whole lot of listening. The house has been kind of busy with kids home from school. This is actually their last day home. They're going back tomorrow, so hopefully I'll have some quiet time to get into some listening. First thing I'm going to show you is a CD pickup. I'd heard about this online and finally snagged my own copy. It is a 4 CD set put out by Trojan Records called The Treasure Isle Story, The Soul of Jamaica. And this has got 4 discs focusing on the productions of Arthur Duke Reid. He was a tough former cop turned record producer who created some of the most soulful music to ever come out of Jamaica. Disc 1 covers kind of very early years, then the R&B derived mento, which is the Jamaican version of calypso, and then getting into ska. Disc 2 is the rock steady years, which many consider the Treasure Isle productions to be the absolute pinnacle of that era. Disc 3 is reggae, and Disc 4 is actually the most interest to collectors, with many rare and alternate takes. But excellent compilation from Trojan Records, and very reasonably priced as well. Mix of more well-known tunes with more obscurities. Thrift stores have been very dead in my area for several weeks now. It's barely even worth going out there. But I did find one thing a couple of weeks ago. Benedict Patrick. This is a local private press record on Is No Matter label. This is from 1978, kind of bluesy, folky rock, bit of a couple of straight ahead rock and roll ones. Kind of interesting. A few record store finds from late in the year. This is one I've heard about many times in the vinyl community. I'd seen the reissue around, but finally found a pretty reasonably priced original. Clear Light, self-titled. 1967, 1968 on this, I think. They were an LA-based psychedelic band, quite influenced by the Doors, on the Tan Electro label. Very nice condition on this one, a bit of cover wear, and that's about it. Some nice West Coast psychedelia. A couple of record store cheap bin finds, actually. This is one I had missing from my Tower of Power collection. They were a San Francisco, Oakland Bay-based kind of a mix of horn rock, bit of soul, bit of Latin vibes, bit of funk. Just mix it all up. Great release from them. Has their classic What Is Hip on here. Excellent stuff from them. A beautiful condition too. Barely more than I would pay in a thrift store for that one. A few dollars more, I found this one. Jose Chipito Arias. He was an original member of Santana's band, Latin percussionist. Dig that back cover there. Sorry about the lighting, guys. Doing the best I can, but it is pretty gray and dismal today. So just full on Latin vibes here. Funky, heavy percussion, and just insane lineup of players on here. You can kind of see the number of people on here. You've got Neil Sean, Hadley Calaman on sax, Willie Colon on congas, Richard Kermode on keyboards, Greg Errico from Sly and the Family Stone on drums. Just killer lineup of players. One of my record stores in December, I walked in there and they had a collection of hip-hop kind of hitting the cheap bins. I don't see a whole lot of hip-hop in my area. I probably haven't shown very much in my videos. I'm actually thinking about showing what I have. I do have about a little bit less than a cube somewhere back here of strictly hip-hop. It was kind of an influential part of my listening in the late 80s, early 90s. So I picked up a few Golden Age hip-hop classics, very cheap. Kool Moe Dee, self-titled. This is his debut. It's got Go See the Doctor on there. Loved him at the time. That's one I never owned on any format before. Mantronix, the album. I'm try and whip through these fairly quickly. Sugar Hill Records compilation, Sugar Hill Express, Best of Rap and Funk. So you've got, of course, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with The Message, one of the earliest rap songs I ever heard, as well as Treacherous 3, Sugar Hill Gang, Melly Mel, Super Wolf Can Do It. Just like that one. Finally owned that one. I had that one on some kind of a dodgy CD. UTFO. Self-titled. 12-inch single, Boogie Down Productions, BDP, KRS-One, Scott LaRock, Jack of Spades. It's from 1988. UK pressing. A few of these are international pressings too, which was kind of interesting. Stetsasonic in full gear, as indeed they are in that cover art. Kickin' hip-hop album here. German pressing on this one. All these were very cheap, under $5. And just don't see these kind of things often. Houdini, early one from them. 1983, German pressing again. Grandmaster Melly Mel, Work Party. So apparently this is a UK release. It was just self-titled everywhere else apparently. Contains, of course, White Lines, their hit. Also, with the hip-hop ones, there was some kind of more on the electronic and funk tip. Picked up this one, Kraftwerk, Dimension Machine. This is actually a German pressing as well. Very nice shape, a little bit of cover wear and a bit of a felt mark there, but other than that, great shape, very cheap. This one I snatched up as soon as I saw it. There was another guy kind of digging through these hip-hop arrivals. He kind of asked to look at this one, and then he kind of tried to pull a fast one and put it to his side. I had to snatch it back pretty quick, but it is Bootsy. Player of the Year album, Bootsy's Rubber Band, and it's got the embossed cover here, and even still has punch-out glasses intact. So very happy to have that one. This one was under $10, I think. Warner Brothers label. Classic P-Funk. So that was the last of that haul. One of the other shops that same day, actually, it was an expensive day, but a good one. I walked into one of my shops and I found the Erasmo Carlos reissues from Light in the Attic, all three of them, in the new arrival bins. They were actually still in shrink, mint condition. I removed the shrink. But I'd been actually thinking of buying these when they first came out, I think early last year or something. Didn't get around to it, but was happy to find them very cheap, lightly used. So we've got Erasmo Carlos, Eos Tremendos, Sonhos y Memorias. These are all from the early 70s. And the last one was self-titled, Carlos Erasmo. He was something of a pop star in Brazil Formed a songwriting partnership with Roberto Carlos. Actually ended up assuming the surname Carlos, that's not his real name, in tribute to his friend, as well as another one with the same name. They formed kind of a songwriting duo. They were both on this music TV show called Jovem Garda. Roberto Carlos became the bigger star. So when Erasmo Carlos started, when the show ended, he was kind of in a state of self-doubt about his own career, wasn't sure what musical direction he would go to. So these three albums are from the very early 70s and find him growing artistically, finding more self-confidence. And he mixes a love of early American and British rock and roll, particularly the pioneers like Elvis, Little Richard, as well as the Brazilian traditions with samba. The middle record in that trilogy has songs by some of the great Brazilian guys like Jorge Ben, Marcos Valle, and Caetano Veloso. And the last one, San Jose Memorias, is more kind of country rock, kind of laid back, hippie, kind of stoned country rock vibe. So those records are a mix of kind of soul, funk, samba mixed with rock, and even a touch of psychedelia here and there. Very excellent reissues from Light in the Attic, highly recommended. Light in the Attic actually had a flash sale on the CD versions of those, so I had to snatch those up. Last couple of releases here, same store, same time. I picked this one up in the new arrival bins. This came out in 2016, I believe. I'd heard about it at the time. It is the most recent album by 70s Jamaican artist Max Romeo called Horror Zone. Max Romeo recorded the classic War in Babylon album for Lee Perry and his Black Ark studio. This record is directly and thematically composed as a sequel to that album. Lee Perry is even involved on here, does some kind of scat vocals on here. This came as a double LP, came out on the New Roots label, and these guys did their best to faithfully recreate that Black Ark Lee Perry sound. With you even got the cover artist from the War in Babylon artist from the War in Babylon album to do a new one, kind of continuing the story. So something of a concept album. Max Romeo, Horror Zone. Disc 1 has got the vocal songs. Disc 2 has got the dubs. It's the dubs where you can really see the attention they've paid to trying to recreate that murky Black Ark sound that's fascinated people for decades. Last couple of ones here. I've got The Frighteners. This is a dub album. I talked about The Frighteners in an earlier video. I picked up their album Nothing More to Say. The Frighteners are based out of Queens, New York, and it's kind of they came out on Daptone Records. Daptone is more known for soul, very soul revival-oriented label. This was their first foray into reggae. The Frighteners kind of are right in the vintage Jamaican sounds of the late 60s, early 70s, kind of the rocksteady and early reggae era. It was a good fit for Daptone Records because that era of Jamaican music was very influenced by American soul. So a very, very compatible sound for them. The tragedy with the Frighteners' first album was their lead singer, Daniel Klein, there he is right there, he died a few months before the album was released. He was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, during the recording process, and he, at some point before it was released, he'd gone to a Sharon Jones concert, and he passed away sometime later that night. So the album was released after he had passed away, and now they've come out with the dub versions, which is remixed instrumental tracks to those songs from that first album, and this is right in the classic Jamaican dub vibe of the 70s with lots of echo, reverb, vocal samples sliding in and out. Just beautiful, beautiful music. Comes on purple vinyl, and they even include a 3D glasses for the cover. It's a very cool package. I'd actually been looking for this online, couldn't find it, and then I walked into a record store, actually the same one where I got those hip-hop titles, and there it was right on the shelf. So like I said, an expensive day, but a very good one. And last one I found, also at the same store, was another heavy hitter end of the year release from Daptone Records, posthumous album from Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, Soul of a Woman. And this is just gorgeous soul revival. If you've heard any of our other music, this is right in the same genre. Just a beautiful album, couple of kind of Curtis Mayfield style songs, great funk backing from the Dap Kings. Just, I don't really get emotional listening to music, like overly emotional, but a couple of songs on here almost brought me to the brink of tears. Just gorgeous, gorgeous record. Highly recommended if you want to check it out. So that's what I got for you today, guys. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Let's hope we have a great 2018. And cheers. All the best.